So next we have an enterprise AI adoption panel. What we have seen is selling to enterprises for any AI native startup is extremely hard. That is why what we have done is we have invited a few folks from different domains, right from banking and finance to healthcare. So maybe I'll invite all these folks to be on stage. And this panel is moderated by Praveen, who's from NASCOM. So Praveen, can you also please come on stage? Thank you. Siddesh? Oh, yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah. Sheetal? Pratik, is he here? Sorry about that. Yeah. So she is Madhuri and she's Sheetal, just for the crowd. Yeah. Sorry about that. All right. So Praveen, over to you. Yeah.
All right. Lovely to be here. Sorry for the folks at the back. You may not be able to see us, but the screen hopefully will have our videos. But really excited to be here. Lovely to be co-hosting together with Arka and BGV. My name is Praveen from NASCOM. My focus is on all things artificial intelligence. No surprises there, I guess. I think communities and gatherings like these excite us because it sort of brings a lot of interesting people together, a lot of learnings and a lot of takeaways, I'm sure, will be there for a lot of people. And that sort of excites us at NASCOM to sort of contribute to events of this kind. There are a lot of known people that I have met today, and I've also been fortunate enough of bringing. But really excited to have this panel and this interesting dimensions that will hopefully come out from this discussion. So this is again a panel on enterprise AI adoption, and adoption is something which I think the tech sector has been leading the front for a long time now. And there are obviously a lot of questions and a lot of dimensions that will come through in the context of adoption. But I just wanted to make sure that each of you have a chance to quickly introduce yourself, maybe not taking more than about 30 seconds, but just really giving the anchoring in terms of the work that you do, which will also allow for everybody else also to understand why you're stating what you're stating for subsequent responses. Maybe starting with you, we can go it in that order.
Hello, am I audible? Okay, perfect. So my name is Sheetal Sahasrapute. I'm a senior director in Barclays. I head wholesale lending technology for Barclays in India. So what do I do? Everything from opportunity management to lending origination to credit sanctioning to loan processing to post-sanction fulfillment to pricing a deal. Platforms and solutions that deliver to these business processes is something that my team develops. Working in a bank, we work in a highly regulated environment. So even for us, AI is not an innovation project anymore. It is something which is fully embedded in terms of how we deliver platform solutions. What do we deliver for clients, etc. So where do I sit? I sit at the cusp of business transformation and engineering teams. I lead a team of 600 people globally, etc. But AI is at the core of everything that we deliver now.
Hello everyone, my name is Madhuri Ajay Moser, and I'm a part of engineering, Equifax as an engineering manager. So basically I'm focusing more on building a data transformation program, which is like we are building a future ready data foundations, and my teams basically are bridging the gap between the huge or lot of data between, and there are the data, and there are which can fast track or which can AI ready, or the quality of data we are maintaining for the customers. So right now, and I'm really excited to share my experiences going in the further discussions. Thank you.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Vicky Jain. I'm part of ZS Associates. I'm a partner at the firm. ZS Associates is a management consulting firm. We specialize in healthcare consulting, and more specifically, even within that, for pharma and biotech companies. So my role specifically there is to partner with top 50, Fortune 50 companies in the pharma and biotech space. And with them, usually I work with IT teams to build bespoke AI solutions for them. This might be large scale, multi-year engagements that we are running. Sometimes it's smaller projects, innovation areas that we are doing with them. At ZS, one of the roles that I play is to lead up some of the innovation work that we are doing with agentic AI. So thinking of the solutions that we want to build for our clients. As a consulting firm, we don't build as many products ourselves, but we do tend to look at being fast followers for all the things that are coming out from hyperscalers or from AI companies and building on top to try and bridge the divide between adoption, the customer needs, and what the products and tools offer. So excited to be here.
Good to know about it, Vicky. Yeah. Hey, greetings, everyone. I'm Siddhesh Potpite. I'm representing John Deere Technology and Engineering Center here. I'm right now heading a digital solutions group, which is part of intelligent solutions that we provide to all our customers. We create a digital platform where all the operations, and when I say operations, let's take an example of agriculture. Any tillage or harvesting operation that happens on the farm field, the digital twin of that operation, be it agronomic data, be it equipment data, is captured real time. We drive real time intelligence to our customers so that they can make real time decisions, so that they become highly productive and profitable. I'm also responsible to drive the AI strategy for the organization. So be it across the talent and culture as well as our products. So that is what I'm currently responsible for. Thanks.
Excellent. So I think broader banking and financial services kind of a setting, that we have pharma and healthcare, and then to close it out with engineering in the real equipment, physical equipment, agricultural equipment, and a bunch of those things, right? So let's start with again, this is a fun question. I love asking this because until last year, the question was, where is the ROI on AI, right? And Sheetal very conveniently said that it's not an AI project, it is embedded. So clearly there is something that's working out in your systems. And I would like to really ask each of you sort of describe perhaps a use case which has really demonstrated to your boards that AI is here to stay. Of course, it is here to stay, but then, and AI investments are here to stay as well. But clearly, what are those evidences that you are seeing and reporting internally, which are also fueling this further investments into AI? Starting with you, Sheetal. Yeah.
So instead of sort of delving into use cases as such, so I'm going to sort of talk about 4 things that the bank is seeing benefits in leveraging AI, right? So one is productivity, right? Absolutely. So developer productivity, if I can stick to technology for a bit, I think developer productivity is something that we've massively seen changing with the adoption of several AI tools, right? So that's one area which was measurable in the last 1 year, and we've seen massive improvements, and hence there's a rollout of major AI tools across the organization, especially to the engineering departments.
And Sheetal, at that, is it possible for you to just throw some numbers? You can make it as anonymous as possible. I know it will be difficult for you to share, but anything that will help us understand how much is that extent, maybe X, 2X, 3X, whatever.
Okay, I can't throw a lot of numbers right now because my speech here is not approved, but I would definitely say there is let me throw numbers now, but there's absolutely at least a 50% improvement that we've seen, right? So which has helped the bank to invest in these AI tools, right, at an enterprise level. So one is, I think, on productivity. Second is operational efficiency, right? We've got a huge back office sort of a set of systems that we run across the organization, which are still very manual and are human dependent. So automation, you leveraging AI, agentic AI to sort of automate those workflows to improve the operational efficiency is something that the bank is investing in and has seen huge sort of benefits in doing that. The third is the speed at which we deliver to our clients, right? And in banks like us, customers at the center of everything that we do. So the speed that we deliver to our clients, that has seen an improvement leveraging AI. And then lastly, I think while this is a debatable topic, but risk reduction is also seen in certain parts, right? Because there are a lot of control gaps that banks observe just because of human intervention, right? Payments failing, certain control gaps in other areas because a human is touching a certain part of the system in the bank. We've seen that those have reduced as well, right? So I think clearly benefits are seen, which are measurable, which is why banks are now sort of highly investing in AI.
Thank you. Thanks, Sheetal. And I would want to switch to the pharma sector. And Vicky, of course, in terms of, I think the classic use cases is aiding the drug development process itself and compressing it as much as possible. So clearly, you guys are the ones bringing the next miracle drug like the GLP-1, for example, right? But is it really happening? Not just the drug part, but really the contribution of AI. Do you really see that happening enough for these Fortune 50 companies that you're working with that are saying that, hey, we're going to double down and all our bets are on AI-led investments in terms of our processes?
Yeah, no, I think in the life sciences sector, at least, this is absolutely happening. Every large company has dramatic bets going on in this space. And some part of it is tied to, see, as an industry, this is an industry where launching a new drug is about a 15-year affair. Okay? And then COVID happened. And in 1 year, we had drugs out in the market. And that just changed the game, right? That there is a way to make these things go faster. If regulators partner with you, if you can inspire confidence with them. So all of that is just priming the ecosystem to start going faster. Can anybody guess what the ROI for life sciences companies might be? For companies that are coming out with all of these fancy drugs, like, think cancer. Any guesses on what the ROI for their R&D spend may be? It's usually less than 5%. For pharma R&D spend that they're doing, the ROI is low single digits. That's the industry average. Pre-COVID, it was almost nearing 0%. This is the problem with the industry. The industry spends a lot, but for every one drug that comes out, 1,000 fail. And so part of what the interest for the industry is, how can we fail faster? Can I fail with data? Can I fail without having to spend 4 years in a lab running an experiment for a drug? So that's driving dramatic acceleration and investment from an industry standpoint. So R&D in life sciences is a humongous use case. There are various classes of problems in there. There is still a lot of sensitivity with patients, live patients coming in, the potential for bias creeping in as we are thinking of drugs. But at this point, every single large company is investing millions of dollars in large-scale use cases. The nature of the use cases vary. Some of them are tied to productivity. Before a drug launches, about 100,000 pages are written in different reports. All of that can be automated, right? You have data collected in the systems. You have authoring that Gen AI can very easily automate. You have these multi-agent systems that you can design that can author the document, validate it, run verification against that, and give you confidence. Humongous use case. Everybody's doing it. But so much amount of time also goes in massaging the data that you're collecting from your trials and moving it into regulators' hands. There's plethora of use cases coming up there also. But even if you can imagine, as a scientist in some of these companies, you have to keep up with all the research that is coming out. And research keeps coming out very, very rapidly in this ecosystem. Now with an AI-assisted set of scientists out there, the pace at which new research is coming out is also accelerating. So even that is turning out into a very valuable use case. But across the board, I would say R&D in pharma is big. The very interesting fact that we are starting to see now, though, is the commercial part of life sciences. This is the sales and marketing teams. There, the amount of adoption with AI is going through the roof. They're looking at how can we better connect with patients. Marketing life cycles and ecosystems are undergoing a dramatic change. As a pharma company, before you throw out anything as a marketing statement, you need to validate it against all the proof that you've collected. Can it be misinterpreted? Is there subjectivity in this? You have to go through all of these processes. All of that is being automated now. You're having agents basically take on these roles and debate with each other and come up with higher confidence answers. So I think as an industry, it's a super exciting time. Lots of high value use cases to go after.
Excellent. And so what I heard Sheetal say, and you mentioned both highly regulated sectors and still massive upwards to AI, which is really what I'm hearing. I just am very curious to hear from Siddesh, not a regulated sector, at least not the obvious sector to start regulating. I would be super surprised if there's regulation as well, maybe from a safety of the operator perspective, maybe to that extent. But I would assume and imagine that it would be shooting the roof or sort of crossing all the possible thresholds in terms of how and where AI would possibly be embedded in your engineering workflows, especially product development and so on and so forth.
Absolutely. So I was about to pick up the digital engineering piece of it, but then yeah, 50% of efficiency gains and productivity already covered. So let's not duplicate that. So let me talk about the physical product. So let's assume we are going to spray a big farm where there are weeds and pests that are there on the plants, right, on the crop. So we have a technology called as see and spray. Now, see and spray, the traditional practices have been we simply carpet spray entire farm field, which might need huge amount of input cost because you need lots of chemicals, pesticides to spray across the farm field. Now, this specific technology has computer vision built into it, the machine learning built into it. It has the edge computing that happens right on the equipment itself. What it does when the obviously the sprayer is going across the field, it detects the weed or pest within fraction of seconds and sprays precisely on where the pest and the damage has been done. So it is that precise. So as far as the outcome is concerned, the input cost, which I was talking about, is huge cost for our customers, our farmers. It goes down by almost 80 to 85%. So, for example, if 100 liters of chemicals were needed, now it can be done within 15 liters of chemicals. So that kind of technology. So it goes on the physical product. It goes on something which all of us consume. It helps with the better yield, better soil health, better nutrition quality as far as the grains that would come out of such kind of farm field. So plenty of tangible and intangible outcomes that we achieve through computer vision, machine learning, edge computing, and obviously the digital twin of all the operations.
Super. So let's get on to the implementation side, which is really where Madhuri, driving engineering at Equifax. If you can sort of help us understand really the nuts and bolts of how you're going about implementing them, and really what was done, in an era where AI wasn't there, and now there is AI assisted code development. How has that process transformation been? Because you have to engineer a lot of these processes, re-engineer them in some ways, and I'm sure it is not easy. It's not a trivial task, right? But how would have you, and in general, if you are able to also speak on behalf of the other industry sectors, how that process engineering has been undertaken to adopt to this AI assisted phase and era that we are in? That'll be useful.
So basically, you all aware about what Equifax is doing right now. They are actually the data backbone of the financial industry. They are not into directly the finances, but this financial industry, but they are actually creating, they are not lending the money, or they are not actually creating all this credit card processes and all, but they are in, they have the massive data for all this industry, and they are actually the backbone. The thing is, I can explain some of the use cases where traditionally the data, how the data flows. If a person needs to buy a house, let's say, for example, then how that verification process undergoes via the Equifax. If some bank is offering the the information about that person. So the thing is, if in a single way, it says around that information, just go and check whatever data, whatever documents he has submitted. like the verification among them. But like in AI era, so it's kind of a, like a broader perspective AI is using right now. So with the help of that traditional approach, we are like in experimental to the I would say the fundamental systems we are applying the AI right now. So this is the first use case I would say. This already we are implementing. The second one is how we are building this fraudulent cases in such kind of scenario again. If we are having this with the documentation or with information about the person who is like in the system and applying all these things, then in the background verification it goes with all like the background verification, and maybe the predictive analysis with the help of AI is like getting as an outcome, and then it catches in this fraudulent system. Probably this is like more on we are focusing more on like like from chatting to the doing things, because if we have like a little bit like asking questions prompts to the AI and it provides us the output for us. Instead of this, we are now moved from the agentic workflows and how we are building the system internally. Let's say we are using like the MCP protocols, and how we are involving this like as a developer, like how we are measuring the efficiency, how developers are using GitHub Copilot, and let's say how sanitizing like the data sanity is created by the AI for the QAs, how this reviewing process, these tools are getting like evolved. So all this like measuring the performance at the end, like if it requires 40 days to complete a process. Let's say, for example, it is like completing in few hours. So like this is actually the impact of AI in engineering side. We are like like more on focusing. Yeah.
Super, wonderful. So can we just do one quick rapid fire, a very short response, maybe a response in a 20-second, 15-20 second to substantiate that. We've all spoken about, I mean, you all have spoken about all the many things that AI is now being so rapidly used and adopted in this era, and then how it has been so successful in contributing to various functions of the enterprises that each of you have been associated with. Specifically speaking, what are the roadblocks? Right? I mean, I'm sure there are roadblocks as well, internal, external roadblocks. Just pick the top one that comes to the top of your mind, and state it. And if you would like to explain, that'll be useful for the audience. Sheetal, starting with you.
So I think the top one for me is data, because banking data, a lot of legacy systems, data quality issues, data not centralized, data fragmented. In this position, your AI is not going to give you the results that you expect, right? So for me, that's the biggest roadblock. 30 seconds.
Very good. Thank you.
I would say there are two. As she explained, the bad fuel, which is kind of like data fidelity, and the second one is from bakery to factory. It's a kind of concept which is execution. So when I'll just explain in 2 lines, maybe that will be more interesting to understand. So let's say if we are like making a cookie at home in our home kitchen, it's a like term as a POC. And when we are creating more like global cookies in a factory, which is a production. So like scaling from POC to production, this execution we have to be like we have to consider if we are in like at AI adaptation. Yeah,
sure. So Vicky, you're supporting clients. I'm sure you will say no roadblocks, but still,
plenty of roadblocks. I think +1 to the data, +1 to the home chefs posing as production supervisors at factories. We're seeing all of those. But I think adoption in enterprises is a real challenge. We always see this curve of users where you've got the forward thinkers. They'll always be the first adopters. You'll see really good success with them. But then comes this long tail of the remaining 80% of the enterprise, and getting them to adopt any of these solutions is very hard. And you're going to see that every time, even if you just do a survey of all the AI tools that we have, the average usage at a company, if you find it more than 5 hours per person for an enterprise, they actually say we are in the upper echelons of companies using AI. So this long tail of users is where I think the real barriers are. All the business cases are built on everybody in that function is using it. 2,000 people have changed the way they're working. Reality ends up being 100 people change themselves, 1,900 just don't.
Thank you. Siddesh.
So if you're talking about adoption of AI at scale at enterprise level, uh, the functional silos or the business silos come as number one for me, because that is where things started getting into more of a fragmented data sets. The second one that is on my list is more of a specialized AI skill talent. There is a scarcity. This is through my personal experience over the last 12 months. There is a plenty of scarcity, specifically in this region. I'm unaware of other regions, but then without talent at scale, AI cannot be adopted at scale. I'm talking about the talent. I mean, Gen AI is one aspect which is being used broadly. What I'm talking about is more different verticals, which is about machine learning, which is about traditional data science, which is about this AI that is needed to drive recommendation engines. I think the talent that has a multifaceted AI specialized skills, I think there is a scarcity. That is the second one I would like to highlight here.
Thank you. So clearly, there's a lot that we can keep talking about. We have a time limitation, unfortunately. So we'll have to, and we've barely scratched the surface, really. And there's a lot of layers that we could possibly unpeel. But leaving on that note, and given that this audience is largely comprising AI founders, given the fact that there is a paucity of good talent, maybe enterprises may also find it relevant to engage with this younger startup community instead of building all the time. Of course, buying could also be a possibility. Of course, maybe little tricky in regulated sectors, but then at least it's definitely worth a try. But lovely. So Sheetal is saying very supportive of buying. So that's your cue for the networking. Gentlemen, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, and to the lovely panel that we had today.